Today we're working with equivalent fractions. We have to make sure these fractions look the same before we can compare them. That's what equivalent means. Right here, this first set of problems 1 through 8, we're going to be writing an equal sign if these two fractions are equivalent to each other. We're going to put an equal sign with a slash through it if they're not equal to each other. Let's take a look at problem number 1. Problem number 1 states, is 3/4 equal to or not equal to 9/12? Well, we have to look at the denominators. Denominators are 4 and 12. They are not the same, so we have to make them the same. What number can 4 and 12 both go into? Well, they can both go into 12. So I'm going to change 3/4 into a fraction with 12. 4 times 3 equals 12. Whatever I multiply on the bottom, I have to multiply on the top. 3 times 3 equals 9. 3/4 actually means 9/12. So 9/12. 3/4 equals 9/12. Take a look at problem number 2 over here. We have 3/10 and we have 1/5. Well, we have to look at the denominators. The denominators are 10 and 5. What number can 10 and 5 both go into? They both go into 10. So that means I have to switch 1/5 into a fraction with 10 as the denominator. 5 times 2 equals 10. 1 times 2 equals 2. So 1/5 actually equals 2/10, which means 3/10 and 1/5 are not equal to each other. Number 3 is kind of interesting. We have 7/14 and we have 8/15. Well, we can kind of look at this one. This one we don't have to find a common denominator with because they're so similar. 7/14, sevenths is exactly half of 14. So let's take a look over here. Is 8/15 equal to half? Well, we know it's not because 8/16 is equal to half. So we automatically know this one is not equal to each other. Take a look at problem number 4. I'm going to switch markers here. 10/12, is that equivalent to 5/6? Well, we have to take a look at the denominators, 12 and 6. What number can 12 and 6 both go into? They can both go into 12. So we're going to change 5/6 into a fraction with 12 as the denominator. 6 times 2 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10. So 10/12 and 5/6 are equal to each other. Give myself a little room over here to work with. Next problem. 16/100 equals the same, or it doesn't equal the same as 8/50. Well, what's my common denominator? I have 100 and I have 50. What number do they both go into? They both go into 100. So I'm going to change 8/50 into a fraction with 100 in it so I can compare it to this fraction. 50 times 2 is 100. 8 times 2 is 16. So 8/50 is the same as 16/100. Let's get another problem over here. 36/72 is the same or is not the same as half. Well, we don't have to find a common denominator here. You can, but you don't have to because we know this equals half, obviously. And is 36 exactly half 72? It sure is. So they are equal to each other. Number 7, we have 7/12 and we have 21/36. This one's not as easy as mental math as this one and this one. So let's take a look. What number can 12 and 36 both go into? Well, 12 times 3 equals 36. So I'm going to change 7/12 into a fraction with 36. I have to multiply the bottom by 3 because 12 times 3 is 36. So 7 times 3 is 21. So 7/12 actually equals 21/36. So they are equal to each other. Here's another problem. 8/3 and 16/6. Looks like they have two improper fractions here. It doesn't matter as long as we find a common denominator. So the denominators are 3 and 6. Well, what number can 3 and 6 each go into? They each go into 6. So I'm going to take 8/3 because this is the fraction that doesn't have a 6 as a denominator. And I'm going to change it into a 6. Well, I have to ask myself what number times 3 equals 6? 3 times 2. 8 times 2 equals 16. 8/3 is the same as 16/6, which means 8/3 is the same as 16/6, equal to each other. Let's move on down. Fill in the boxes to complete and match the equivalent fractions. These types of problems are kind of fun to do because it's kind of treated as a detective. You're trying to find out what the missing blank is. Well, we have to look at what clues we do know. Let's look at problem number 9. 5 times what equals 10? 5 times 2 equals 10. Well, then we basically know whatever we do on the bottom, we have to do on the top. So we have to go times 2. So 3 times 2 equals 6. It's that easy, kids. Take a look at problem number 10. 2 times what equals 14? 2 times 7. So 3 times 7 equals 21. Now we're going from a large number to a small number. Whenever we go from a large number to a small number, we must divide. Well, 55 divided by what equals 5? Divided by 11. If we divide by 11 on the bottom, we better divide by 11 on the top. 44 divided by 11 equals 4. Same thing with number 12. We have a big number going to a small number. 12 divided by what equals 3? 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Well, if we divide on the top, we better divide on the bottom. What big number divided by 4 equals 10? 40. 40 divided by 4 equals 10. Moving on. Going from a large number to a small number again. 35 divided by what equals 7? 35 divided by 5 equals 7. So 60 divided by 5 equals 12. Now we're going from a small number to a large number. 9 times 5 equals 45. 16 times 5 equals what number? Well, this isn't basic facts, so I better do some work on the side. 16 times 5, so we have 5 times 6 equals 30. 8 times 5 is 5, plus 3 is 80. Erase this to the sides. Room to work. Take a look at number 15. Going from a small number to a large number, so we're multiplying by a number. 36 times what equals 108? Well, I think it's 3, but I better check my work. 36 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So I was correct, so I'm multiplying by 3 here. If I multiply by 3 on the bottom, better multiply by 3 at the top, so I've got a 27 up here. 7 divided by what equals 1? 7 divided by 7 equals 1. So what big number divided by 7 equals 8? That number is 56. Number 7, 135 divided by 27, or 135 divided by what equals 27? Well, not exactly sure, so better try a few things out. 27 times 5. Let's take a look at that. We'll see if that equals 135. 7 times 5, we have 5. 3 up here. 5 times 2 plus 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 135. So I was correct. We have to divide by 5 because we're getting smaller. So 30 divided by 5 equals 6. Last problem is number 18. And then you guys can do the division on the bottom as a review. 16 times what equals 122? Well, let's try a few numbers. 16 times, let's try 8. 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 128. Well, that's too large. Times 8's not right. Let's go 16 times 7. 6 times 7 is 42. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 112. Well, that's correct, so we're multiplying by 7 here. 10 times 7 equals 70. You see how I worked out my problems here on the side, kids? I wasn't right away when I did 16 times 8, so I just did the next smallest number. It's basic. The only thing you have to remember when you're dealing with any kind of equivalent fractions, kids, is whatever you're multiplying on the top or whatever you're dividing on the top, you must do on the bottom. The same thing goes if whatever you do on the bottom, you have to do on the top. That way the fraction stays the same, whether you're making it bigger or you're making it smaller. That way it stays the same. Good luck, kids.